Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the bootcamp. We are in the day 7 of our bootcamp. And today's session is all about digital marketing proficiency by Chris. And I'm joined by Gilda and Gina. And today's topic, digital marketing proficiency, it takes up to 13% of the exam. And we can expect around 8 questions on this particular topic. And we have split this topic into 2 sessions. Some of the topics are covered by Chris in today's session. And just a few housekeeping items. This session is being recorded, and we will make these recordings available publicly after 11:18. And if you are looking for the recordings before November 18th, please reach out to me, and I will be able to share the link with you. And if you have any questions, please post them in the chat window, and we will answer them at the end of the session. And if you have any unanswered questions, we have the Slack channel, and post those questions in the Slack channel. And we also have the Ask Me Anything panel on 18th of November. And you can have all your questions addressed during that session. And your questions can be related to any of the certification topics related to the Marketing Cloud Administrator certification. And we will be sharing all the homework and other resources, the slide decks from today's session and every other additional documents in the resources and the homework channels of our Slack channel. And please post your feedback or anything that you want to share on the Slack channel and on Twitter using these hashtags. And now, without further ado, I will turn it over to Chris.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, I am assuming I am in control now. Thank you all for joining. As JB mentioned, I'm going to be covering a portion of the products overview for Marketing Cloud Administrator Bootcamp. All right, my name is Chris Zullo. I am a practice director for a consulting partner by the name of All Cloud. I am married. I am a father to 2 wonderful kids, 3 dogs, and yes, 2 crabs that we picked up at the beach. Not literally, but you know how that goes. I have a few certifications and active on the trailheads. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, there's my info there. Salesforce MVP and Marketing Champion. Just as JB mentioned, I'm covering one specific piece here. I'll be focusing on the product inventory. The other items will be covered by Vlad in another session. And so we'll just keep moving along. So the agenda here, there are quite a few products here. So just want to set the table here and kind of give you a broad view of all the items that are in the Marketing Cloud. Obviously, with only 8 questions, you're not going to be hit hard on every single piece on this list here, but mainly to focus on the items on the left as far as the primary products, if you will, and then on the right, extending the platform, a number of other components that you may see a question, but probably not. In any case, there's a large pool there. So all of these are hyperlinked, and there's a whole bunch of content in here. So that will be included in the deck. The one area that we will not cover here is Pardot, which overall is under the Marketing Cloud in the family, but it's not specifically covered in the Marketing Cloud Administrator certification. So anything that's Pardot specific won't be here. We'll go through sort of a high level item by item piece here. And the one thing I will call out, Email Studio has already been covered as far as the deep dive is concerned. So just if you want a deeper dive into that specifically, you can refer to the day 3 session that was covered by Natasha. All right, so Marketing Cloud is a platform and predominantly broken up into 2 buckets, studios and builders. And we're going to start with the studios. as I mentioned, Email Studio, formerly known as ExactTarget, is by most people's accounts what they consider the marketing cloud, which doesn't necessarily cover all the things that it does, but that's just how it is in the market. Email Studio, as I said, I'm not going to cover too deep here because it was covered already, but just know that from a marketing cloud perspective, email is the bread and butter of the marketing cloud, and that's in the Email Studio. You can see at the top there's a number of items that, like I said, has already been covered, and it is one of the primary drivers within the marketing cloud. There are a number of things that you can do with it besides email, and there's some data components there, but like I said, that's kind of been covered in depth. And if you do have questions, please fire them away as we go. We'll get to as many as possible if you have anything specific. All right. The other piece that we're going to cover here is Mobile Studio. And there's two pieces here. Mobile Studio is actually two different pieces under within that studio. There's Mobile Connect, which is driven towards the SMS and MMS features. So standardized text, movies, GIFs, what have you, video that you would get through your texting app within your phone. And then Mobile Push would be where you would connect Marketing Cloud to a built for purpose mobile application. So if you have a product, a brand, what have you, you can integrate that. And so those notifications that you get on your phone, if you order one of the food, through one of the food services apps, or if you use online retailer, you may get updates there based on orders or shipment or new promotions. All of those items can be driven through Marketing Cloud out of Mobile Push. Both of these do tie into Journey Builder, which is sort of the central nervous system for Marketing Cloud and the way of the future for Marketing Cloud. More and more features and functionality are being aggregated and centralized through Journey Builder. And so if you see anything on Mobile Studio, make sure you are at least at a high level familiar with what it is and how it differentiates. It also, you can manage your content for Mobile Studio through Content Builder, which we'll cover a little bit later. Social Studio, while there is an app or a icon within the main Marketing Cloud application, it is actually a separate standalone tool. It does not sit inside the standard Marketing Cloud interface. It is an authentication. So if you do have Social Studio, you can log in through your Marketing Cloud environment and access Social Studio from Marketing Cloud. What Social Studio is, if you're not familiar, it's primarily for social listening, measurement, and engagement, meaning you can track various conversations or topics based on topic profiles, which is subjective. You are the one defining that, and that's something that people need to remember is not a set and forget it piece. That's something that's living and breathing that should be managed on an ongoing basis. Social Studio can also integrate with the Salesforce CRM through Service Cloud, and there's different features there depending on whether or not you also get Social Automate, which is a more advanced automation tool that you can get with Social Studio to automate some of the lead creation or case management, if you will. And so you can get a lot of value in data connectivity through that integration. There is no direct Journey Builder support. The way you would tie Social Studio in through Journey Builder would be through integration with Advertising Studio. So Social Studio, Ad Studio do connect and talk with each other. And that's an integration that you can configure and create audiences based off a topic profile that you create in Social Studio and push ads to your social channels as well. So that would be the main way you would tie in Social Studio into Journey Builder, but it's not a direct connection. It's either got to come through Salesforce CRM or through Advertising Studio. So just more of a FYI on that topic. So Advertising Studio, we just alluded to, is for digital advertising. The main value add here is Advertising Studio gives you the ability to centralize data from multiple ad networks. Some of the main networks would be Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest. And so as far as a direct tie-in, you wouldn't manage your actual content in Advertising Studio. It's mainly for your data, being able to enrich your data, target individuals that are in a journey and pivot back and forth using Journey Builder to provide a more consistent experience across channels. So if somebody were to go, if they were in the process of looking at a product online, if we're able to track that individual, we can then present them with an ad downstream if they were to abandon that cart and be able to say, hey, check out this product that's on sale, 5% off, 20% off, what have you. And then you can help them progress down through the desired customer journey using Journey Builder. And so, as I mentioned, it does work greatly within the realm of Journey Builder, and it does allow you to unlock some of the data that you can gain through Social Studio. Web Studio is not necessarily its own thing necessarily. It comes with the Email Studio, and so that's where Cloud Pages live. It does have its own accessible icon here, as you can see here. So you can create your Cloud Pages where we can create landing pages, pages for mobile push. You can do all the things that are listed here. If you were to use interactive email, if you were to configure that, those interactive pages that you would set up for that content block would actually be a Cloud Page, and that lives in Cloud Pages once it's created. So as you can see in the example here, it will track that underneath the Cloud Pages once it's created. The other thing you can do is you can create data capture forms that you can gather individual information online through event registration, or if you're, what have you, you can get that data, capture it through Cloud Pages and funnel it into the Marketing Cloud and or the Salesforce CRM. There's a number of mechanisms there. So that's where Cloud Pages lives. Probably not on the exam is Custom Preference Center. You can create a full-blown preference in Subscription Center if the out-of-the-box functionality doesn't support your specific needs. You can build that out on Cloud Pages if desired. So the other half of the primary products, the builders. So with the builders, we have Analytics Builder, which is undergoing some changes as we speak. This is where reporting and analysis features live within the Marketing Cloud. The three main items are the web and mobile analytics. So that's where we can use a collect code to track information and connect the broader journey of online activity to influence and gather insights on the people who they were engaging with online. Datorama Reports is replacing Discover Reports, which is the historic advanced reporting functionality that is being sunset and is going away next year. And so Datorama Reports is a relatively new-ish product that was rolled out earlier this year, and I believe is in most orgs at this point, and is the way of the future from a reporting and analytics perspective. And so they'll be adding more features and functionality there. You can do pivot tables today, but that is still a relatively new product. So if you see Discover Reports, that is the legacy advanced reporting functionality. Datorama Reports is the newer product that is going to be replacing that. And then Reports is just your standard reporting functionality. That's where your the main engagement and tracking reports live, so opens, clicks, all the items that relate to marketing and campaign management. All of the standard reports are going to be under that menu item here. Okay. Journey Builder, as I mentioned, is your main driver and for your omni-channel experience. And so within Journey Builder are two main products. One is Automation Studio, which I know is a little bit misleading based on what I said about studios and builders, but it does live under the Journey Builder menu item. And that is, where we can do our, ETL processes. This is really our heavy lifter for data. We can import, we can extract, we can transform, we can export, we can automate, we can do a whole lot of activities through Automation Studio. We can use FTP to import data, unlock that and process that information through Automation Studio so that we're not manually managing that on a daily basis or whatever your schedule may be. It can be triggered or it can be scheduled. You have some flexibility there. And from a differentiator, it's predominantly static in the sense that it sort of is waterfall. We're going through one step at a time. What's the ideal order of operations to process, manage that data? It can also send emails. So there's quite a bit of functionality within Automation Studio. That is something that I would take a look at. You'll likely see quite a bit of questions just in general, not necessarily this specific segment, but Automation Studio is something that you will see some questions on, as you will Journey Builder. So with Journey Builder, it's multiple channels / omni-channel customer experience, emphasis on omni-channel, where we're trying to provide a consistent experience, consistent engagement across multiple channels. So regardless of whether they are interacting with a mobile app or SMS text messaging or an email, or if they've presented an ad and taken an action from there. Journey Builder is meant to be that dynamic experience manager where we are pivoting in a smart fashion based on an individual's choices. If they make a particular choice or if they ignore something, we can react and respond based on a predefined path. And so you can get pretty sophisticated. So with Journey Builder, start simple and go from there. Crawl, walk, and run. Would not, try not to overthink it and focus on what is the end goal, what is our happy path, what is that path that we want that individual to go down. If they don't take the necessary actions, if there's any time sensitivity to it, what do we need to do? What's the next action we should direct them towards, with the goal of getting them to complete a particular task or action, whether that's a purchase, a service, or filling out a survey, registering for an event, or supplying information in advance of an upcoming trip. Whatever your use case is, Journey Builder is meant to be your central area where we're going to manage that overall experience across channels. All right. Next up is Content Builder. Approvals were covered, I believe, in another session earlier, and so I'm not going to focus any time on that. I'm going to focus on the actual content itself, but just for navigation purposes, just know that Approvals sits here on Content Builder. And from a content management perspective, this is where we can create various content blocks, we can create layouts, we can create various templates for email, mobile, and web, and use those pieces interchangeably. We can organize and manage that content through a folder structure, which is open-ended. And so, whatever your particular needs are, if you're doing it by tactic, doing it by year, doing it by campaign, whatever your specific needs are, you can structure the folders in a way that makes sense for your organization to keep your content neat and tidy. If left unattended, then it can be quite cumbersome to find what you're looking for once you're dealing with hundreds of pieces of content and there's no rhyme or reason to how it is organized in the within the content builder. Audience Builder is the primary menu item, but from a out-of-the-box functionality, Contact Builder is where you're actually going to be doing your heavy lifting. That's where we can manage as an administrator most of our data needs. And so that's where we can set up, synchronized data sources where we're integrating data from Salesforce CRM. We can also set up external data sources as well and organize and create a centralized sort of contact profile within Marketing Cloud specific. I like to refer to Marketing Cloud as the system of engagement, given that it does allow us to communicate with contacts through a number of channels and manage that experience. And so that's how we try to keep it organized so that we're not creating duplicates, that we're, regardless of the data that we have related to particular contact, we're tying that together in a way that keeps their profile clean and allows us to maximize the communications that we're sending them, that we're sending them relevant information, that it's timely, that it's accurate, and that we're able to make sense of that. So I say mostly centralized data management. The reason I call that out is there are some features and functionality that differ between Contact Builder and some of the data features and functionality within Email Studio. So data extensions in particular, there's some slight nuances, some slight variations in the behavior with how you can interact with data through a Contact Builder versus Email Studio's process. You can see a data extension in either tool, but like I said, there are some pieces that are a little bit different in terms of when and where, whether you can delete, whether you can edit an individual record, slight variances, not crazy different features and functionality, but there's just some minor nuances there. So just to be aware of that. And so as I was mentioning, that the kind of the ideal state here is that we're going to have an individual at the center, and then we have these various data sources or attribute groups that we're using to manage specific data related to that individual. So you can see the email here, group connect, mobile push. We can add other items. There's all these different pieces here that you can pull together. I know it's been referenced before, but from a population perspective, it's recommended to not create more than 3 different populations within your Marketing Cloud environment. And that would be managed within this area of the tool within Contact Builder. So I apologize there for the slip. So as we look forward into extension products, we're going to get into sort of AppExchange Platform and more, because Marketing Cloud is a full-blown platform. It's not a point solution. It has a range of solutions. So integration offerings, a few different areas here. So FTP, as I alluded to earlier, API and Marketing Cloud, shorthand MC Connect. So Marketing Cloud Connect is an installed package that allows us to integrate Salesforce CRM with Marketing Cloud. That alone has the systems talking to each other. If you were, I would recommend you look at using synchronized data sources. That relies on Marketing Cloud Connect being configured. And so that is a dependency there for synchronized data sources. And that's really where we're able to pass data back and forth between the two tools. And so With synchronized data sources, just as FYI, when you pull data across, those are going into read-only data extensions. We then need to do something else with it from there. We can't manipulate that for the purposes of data integrity because it's reading straight off the object in Salesforce, which supports both standard and custom objects. But again, just wanted to highlight or emphasize the fact that Marketing Cloud Connect is a requirement for that. FTP is a secure file transfer protocol functionality that sits within the Marketing Cloud's firewalls. It can retrieve and export data to that particular your particular area assigned to your account. So that's where we would want data files to be dropped so that we can then retrieve and pull that into Marketing Cloud and process it as needed. If it's encrypted, there's different features and functionality within Automation Studio that can take that data, unlock it, and move it through our automations to get that ready and get it into a usable state so we can segment and personalize communications for our contacts within the Marketing Cloud. An API supports a wide range of connections. So REST and SOAP APIs, depending on your specific needs, you would look towards one versus the other as far as which one is the correct one to use. AMP script, server-side JavaScript, or SSJS for short, GTL or guided template language, another various languages and items that we can use to connect through the API and various SDKs. Obviously, that's can get quite into the weeds, and so the next item there at the bottom, you are not expected to know the programmatic languages or the SQL and sort of like in the weeds developer type task, mainly to be aware of the options or the intended capabilities, not necessarily be able to write it out. So just want to emphasize that from a API perspective, that's where these things can be can sometimes be a little tricky. So at least get a baseline understanding of what each is and sort of the best uses of each. Don't necessarily have to go out and learn all these languages in order to take the exam. Okay. So moving along, we got the AppExchange and Platform. So a couple of icons here from an AppExchange perspective. We can then go out to the AppExchange, add and extend the functionality within our Marketing Cloud environment. We can install various point solutions there. Once they are installed, we then would access that through the icon here. So this Query Studio is a favorite of mine. That is one of the better additions in the last couple of years, which allows us to perform SQL queries without having to go through the entire process of creating a target data extension and kind of building everything out. We can at least try and look at the counts and get an idea of what we're looking at before we go and build. So I'm a big fan of that. That is a lab application, unmanaged package that we can utilize that for SQL activities. They're both paid and free options there. So just, be mindful of what you're looking for and just look for this, the right solution that fits your needs. So one thing I'm going to call out here as I talk about Package Manager under the context of platform. Deployment Manager is, I think most people would agree, and if anyone disagrees on the call, feel free to chime in, but Deployment Manager is the precursor to Package Manager. Deployment Manager is a unmanaged package that allowed us was the first step towards org management or change management within the context of the Marketing Cloud. By no means was it a full-blown change set of piece of functionality. Nothing as comprehensive as a GitHub or similar type of tool. Package Manager is the first sort of like built-in functionality to the Marketing Cloud that allows us to manage or package various configurations within the Marketing Cloud to be able to move pieces around the environment. It does require Marketing Cloud Administrator access in order to leverage. And then we can, customize various configurations through that. Basically downloadable files that we can, manipulate and reload in the target environment in order to deploy a particular package or piece of functionality. There's still more to come there, but that is the first step towards it. That is the, like I said, the newer version for that piece of functionality. So if given the option, in most cases, package manager is where you want to spend your time using. Okay. All right. Einstein. There's quite a lot of Einstein options within the Marketing Cloud today. Mainly just kind of get a lay of the land. Einstein is the artificial intelligence. So, for some of you who might be familiar with some of the legacy terms, predictive intelligence was rebranded. So you got email recommendations, web recommendations. Used to be the old PI email recommendations and web recommendations. So that was a rename there. That's been around for a little bit, but there's a whole lot more features that have been added in the last few years that fall underneath the Einstein family. And so that's where we can, again, using AI to optimize our segmentation and trying to provide the best experience based on the data available. So, AI, that we're not necessarily managing the algorithms behind the scenes, but it is something that will look at the data that you have, and based on that, provide you insights that can help you drive and evolve your strategy and your customer journeys. And so it does take time to get that data. Generally speaking, 90 days is the baseline for that to have enough data analyzed to provide you some insights. Depending on your data volume, if you have a high volume environment, you may realize that sooner because there's that much data coming through. If you don't have as much, it could also maybe take a little bit longer. Processing times will vary by feature in terms of like that initial analysis. Some cases 48 hours, other cases 72 hours. So depending on which feature that you're utilizing, you may have a little bit of difference in how quickly it processes that data first go. And so this is something that can be enabled, but it is generally it is a paid add-on. Depending on the edition you have, you may, some of that may be included upfront. I'm not as familiar with all of the things that are with each edition, so that's something maybe look at the pricing model so you can kind of see what's included in each edition. Can't recall if when I took the exam if that was on there or not. I don't know if any of the other folks on the call can remember that one. Okay. So Datorama, not to be confused with Datorama reports for Marketing Cloud. So in the context of the original Datorama platform, that is the allows us to, basically visualization and really bring together a lot of different data sources to understand how our customers, contacts, leads, prospects, whatever our context is, understand their behavior better, being able to visualize that, understand where our strengths, our weaknesses are. It does support both B2B and B2C. This is a separate application, does have a separate login. And like I said, it is not the same thing as Datorama reports, which is within the Marketing Cloud proper. That is replacing Discovery. So, all right. Interaction Studio. That is for real-time personalization and interaction management. And so, it basically, based on what the individual is doing, what should we do next? if we have, for example, if somebody is in a has an open support ticket and they're in the process of getting help on something, well, probably don't want to present them with an ad or contact them about a particular product or service if they're having an issue with it. Or vice versa. If somebody comes through the website, we can personalize their experience on the website based on recognizing that individual when they come to the website, and being able to tie that together and look at their history, their behavior. We can then present them with different offers, different promotions, to give them more personalized experience, make their experience and visit a bit more sticky, so they spend a little bit more time, that they would complete that action that they were thinking about but maybe didn't go all the way through. So Interaction Studio is a additional licensing. You would access that through Marketing Cloud. It historically has a separate login, but you can access it through Marketing Cloud. It can be enabled. You can access and manage that there, so that you can drive, help again drive that experience regardless of the channel, whether it's service, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, and that can lean on the data that's being gathered through journeys, but it can also influence what types of journeys those people are going into, or what the actions they might be presented with through those journeys. CDP, again, another newer addition. This is intended to provide a single source of truth from a customer profile, regardless of where that data is coming from. So we may have data in a lot of different systems, and CDP allows us to kind of tie that together, create a unified profile. They keep adding more and more data sources that we can incorporate into it. Interaction Studio and CDP have an integration. CDP from a user experience is inside the CRM, but we can pull data straight from Marketing Cloud. We can use CRM data. We can get data from AWS. As you can see, there's other components here that just can continue to expand the features for CDP. So the primary goal for CDP is that advanced segmentation and activation. So lifetime value, recency, frequency, monetary, loyalty management, any segmentation use case that you can think of. The goal here is to tie the various data together for that individual and be able to have a holistic point of view of who that person is, their behaviors, their interests, what they've done for their lifetime experience with your organization or your brand, so that we can provide a more accurate picture of who they are, to provide them a more accurate offerings, tailor their experience, personalize their experience, obviously hope with the goal of deepening that relationship between you and that particular individual. Yeah, 360-degree view of your customer. It is really cool. I love the direction they're taking it in. It's brand new, so there's a lot more to come in from my expectation. Just speaking my personal opinion, I love the potential of CDP and what it can offer customers and anyone who has that. So really excited about where that's going to go. All right. I do not have a Harbor queue, so we'll skip that. So I do have a number of resources available. Well, it's not really all me. What I'm highlighting here are a number of great resources that a lot of other people who have taken this exam have gathered together. So there is some overlap between some of the listings here. So these are all community resources that will point you in a lot of additional resources specific for the Marketing Cloud Administrator exam. So all of these links will help you provide some information. how to get ready for that. Official resources, you see 5 links here, but off screen, and I'll make sure that this is in the version that's shared with everybody, but I probably have about 30 other links that are in my my notes section for each of the builders, general resources, the studio products, the extension products, all of those things. There's a specific trailhead, I think, for virtually every one, with the exception of Web Studio, because like I said, it's its own thing, but not really. It's kind of the younger sibling of Email Studio that nobody wants to talk about, but we all love to give some grief to. But there will be a help link related to that, and so all of that will be included in the deck that's shared after the fact. But like I said, these five are the things that you really, I would prioritize. So I think we've all emphasized looking at the exam guide, looking at the weighted areas. This particular area is on the lower scale. So, prioritize accordingly. Give it enough attention so that you can manage or handle the questions they may throw at you. But something that's like 38%, like setup, that's obviously going to be a higher priority in terms of where you spend your time. So the trails here are specific for the exam, or will help you with the exam. Google Analytics 360, I don't think there's more than one question on there, but that module will help you understand kind of the features that it has. I didn't spend any time on that, but I did include the link there. That's also called out on the exam guide. So it is worth your time taking a look there, spend the 30, 40 minutes that it would take you to knock out that module. And then digital marketing is specific to this particular area. Again, give you some more additional, more general information about the digital proficiency that will be addressed on the exam. Quick history lesson for anybody who is interested. The evolution of Marketing Cloud. So on the left-hand side are all the things that they were before they became a part of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud. The only OG in the gang here is the campaign object, which we all know is not, it doesn't do all the things. It's really more for management and organization of all the things, but doesn't do the execution. It doesn't deliver, doesn't do the communication. It's really for organizing your audiences, your tactics, whatever your priorities are. So that lives in the Salesforce CRM, but everything else here in one form or fashion is a part of the Marketing Cloud. Things that we didn't cover here that I don't think are necessarily on the exam, like loyalty management and CMS. But I did include those links there because they are technically listed under the Marketing Cloud, pages online. And so, again, Exact Target is what essentially Email Studio, Mobile Studio, and Web Studio effectively are. And so if there are any questions, fire away. Here to help. If you don't have any now, happy to deal with it on the Slack or whatever you need.
Yeah, thanks for a wonderful session, Chris. I know for a beginner who is new to Marketing Cloud, it may be overwhelming to hear all about these builders and studios. There are many of these, like the Interaction Studio, Advertising Studio, Social Studio, Audience Builder, Mini Builder. So on the exam, one is not expected to know in depth of all these studios. It's just an overview of what each studio or the builder is meant for. So you don't need to be overwhelmed. What are these studios? So,
100% agree. Thank you for re-emphasizing that. Yes, especially and I hopefully made the point, the extension products, just more for general awareness, just like the programmatic languages, you're not expected to know those in depth. If I don't even know if most of those aren't even on the exam necessarily, but they are a part of the offering. So if you know one or two sentences off their pitch, that's probably all you need to know.
Wonderful, thanks, Chris. And Chris, I would like to thank you for being so active for all the previous sessions. You have been there, present, and actively helping in answering the questions. I thank you for that, and thank you for all that you do. And so I see some question in the chat window by Jordan.
Yep.
Can you go back 2 slides and show those trays?
Yes, and that I've popped back to those now. What I will do is I will post, because I think it won't make sense to put it in this chat. I will take all of these and I will put them into the Slack channel as well at a higher, so these will be the 5 that I'll post. And then for anyone who's interested, like I said, I've got like a link to pretty much everything, but as JB reiterated, focus on the main products of the Marketing Cloud. Don't get bogged down in some of these other more advanced, add-on pieces of the Marketing Cloud.
And I'm looking in the chat if there are any questions. And your presentation is so detailed and clear. So it's all straightforward, Chris. Not many questions on this. I only saw earlier if, can you give some examples of how to use Contact Builder? Some real life
Contact Builder?
Yes.
Sure. You know what? Let me see. Go back to the Contact Builder. Oh, going the wrong way. So audit, yeah. So Contact Builder, one of the main things you're going to utilize that for. So Journey Builder in particular, that's a huge area that we would be looking at using Contact Builder or utilizing that to support Journey Builder. So that's where those attribute groups, let me click here. Let's see if I can get this to pop up. So these attribute groups, so in most cases, Journey Builder is going to rely on having an attribute group. There's some use cases where it may not necessarily, but in this case, attribute groups is where we can organize various data sets. So if we had like product data, order history, that's a good example of creating an attribute group where we can relate the individual to the order that relates then to the products and so on and so forth. So that we create that relational data view so that that data can relate. So we don't have to have everything on one giant flat object. We can have the data where, with like data and then relate it based on, specific keys that we can manage that. And so Journey Builder is one area or one benefactor of using attribute groups under Contact Builder. The other thing, as I mentioned, let's see if I can pull it up here. See if I can't go into a environment. Can't see it right now, but let's see, where did it go? All right, so I'm in here now. You can see Marketing Cloud, or do you still see the deck? I just want to make sure it's showing the right thing.
We see the Marketing Cloud.
Okay, great. So here's Contact Builder. Here's a live view here. So one of the things that we look at here, so data sources, as I mentioned, synchronized data sources, this is where we would configure that. So once this finishes refreshing, what I would do is I can look at synchronized data sources. Hold on here. I'm wondering if I timed out. I may have timed out here. I'll just refresh it, see if I can't get that to pop up. Basically, the data sources, we can set up and manage our synchronized data sources, manage what data is coming in. So this is my demo environment here. So I don't have a lot of data coming in here, just managing a few different items here. And so I can set up an object. And so within this is where I can go and pick the specific object. I can pick the fields that I want. The system will automatically force you to take any attributes or fields that are required to maintain the uniqueness and data integrity of that particular object. So if I were to look at account, for example, and open this up, the it will show me all of the fields here. So anything that is required in order to maintain this relationship is going to be grayed out. You can't uncheck it even if you wanted to. So automatically there are 6 fields that are selected. But then I can come down and say, well, I want name, I want phone. And here's the thing. You only bring what you need. For me personally, there's only 2 reasons you bring data into Marketing Cloud. You're either using it to segment, AKA target a specific individual, or you're using it to personalize the content, whether that is dynamic content or using their name or referencing an order. It's segmentation or personalization. The only real reasons I think you should bring data into the Marketing Cloud. And so you don't need to bring everything over. It's inefficient. You're going to bring more than you need. And if you're not using it, it's just taking up space. So why bother? And so this is where I would manage that within Contact Builder. And so that will automatically pull that data across. And then I can use that however I need to. I can tie it with other data, or I can take it as is if I have everything I need, whatever that may be. And I would manage that here. So there's a couple of examples of why you would use Contact Builder, or you need to use Contact Builder. If you have something that you don't need to see anymore, I just saw this pop up. Great question, Virginia. You can come back in here and uncheck it. And so the poll schedule is 15 minutes up to an hour. 15 minutes is as short as it can go. I think an hour is the longest sort of wait period. I don't think it's quite the same as, I don't think it's as wide a gap. I don't know if JB, if you recall differently, but generally speaking, 15 minutes. Most customers are going to pick 15 minutes. And yes, you can stop syncing an object. You can unsync the fields. That'll take it off. So I have campaign member here. So you can pause the sync, right? And so I can pause that. I don't have any data in here to begin with, so I'll go ahead and pause that. And so it'll stop pulling data across. And so if I want to resume it, I can. And so, as I was saying here, so I'm just going to take all records, the poll schedule, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. And so you have some flexibility here, but most people go with the 15 minutes.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And as we are in the Contact Builder, I wanted to share some tip. The only way to add a record to a data extension manually is via the Contact Builder. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. So if in the email studio from the data extensions, once you create the data extension, you cannot add a record manually. But from the Contact Builder data extension, you can go and add an individual record.
So yeah, and I think this is one of those cases where there's a nuance here. So I can add an individual here. I'm in Contact Builder, but in Email Studio, I think that might be where I can't do it individually. I have to import. I can just check that real quick. Nothing like a live demo. And so go to records. And so as you see here, there's your difference. I can export, I can import it, but I can only do it in bulk. I can clear the data, I can import it, I can export it, but I can't add one-off records. That has to be done through Contact Builder, through the data extension there. So that's one of those like really nuanced differences. Otherwise, you can see most things and do most things that the other can do. It's just they haven't consolidated all of that yet.
And one of the important things, Chris, is with the dynamic data in the journey builders. You want to talk about that?
Sure. In what context do you want to talk about the dynamic?
We have a detailed session on journey builder. So that would be coming up in the next week. But in the journey builder, if we want to use the dynamic data, the data which changed after the journey has kicked off, the data has to come from the Contact Builder data. and not from
Yes.
the, yeah.
Yeah. So at the time of entry or versus like if there's an actual update. So yeah, in that regard, when you create your journey and you set up your entry criteria, you have two choices. You only look at the data as it is at that particular time when they first enter the journey. Any updates that change that data after the fact will be ignored. It will only process the data that it sees when that person first entered the journey. Or you can look at it through that contact data, and that's again attribute groups kind of come into play. You can look at that data. It slows down the processing time, but in most cases that's fine. You really want to have the most recent data. So an example of where maybe you only care about at that particular time would be an onboarding. Like somebody just started, you have a very, very short or concise journey. You don't necessarily need or want, data change updates after the fact to impact the journey. Then let's just go ahead and say, let's only look at it at the point of entry. That way we get a little bit better performance and it just goes. If we're dealing with something where we're looking at, a dynamic situation where somebody made a decision, well, based on that decision, they can go down one or a number of other paths. Then we want to see those updates. We want to see that impact to their record or their profile so that we can make an informed decision on what the next best action should be within that particular journey.
Wonderful. Thanks, Chris. And
my pleasure.
There's one question by Sumant. So if you want to sync all contacts as opposed to importing or uploading individual files, does the synchronized rows count against the number of contacts a Marketing Cloud account has access to? So if I understand this question, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, because I think I think you and I are both going to make an assumption on what the intent here is.
Yeah. So if you're asking about the billable number of contacts a month, so any user account or lead, contact, or user record that syncs from Salesforce will be counted as a billable contact in Marketing Cloud. So, and all other objects, maybe the custom objects or the standard objects, the data, it will just be the data, and it wouldn't be counted as the number of billable contacts. Only leads, contacts, and user records will be counted.
Yeah, Marketing Cloud, the main point is it cares about people, and so that's why the lead and contacts really what it's going to look at. Anything else, it's just more data. I mean, there's different data storage sort of tiers for that, but the billable contacts is got to be a person.
Thanks, Chris. And I think that is all. I don't see any other questions. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, please post them in the Slack channel. And also the Ask Me Anything panel, which is on 18th of November. You have another chance to get your questions answered. Those questions can be anything that are related to the sessions that were conducted as part of this bootcamp, and that question can be anything related to the administrator certification. And the next session is on Thursday by Elliot. It's about the Marketing Cloud extension products. It's at the same time, 3 p.m. And thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Have a good day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are.
Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.